Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever the heck you're listening to this. So we're doing things a little differently today. Nathanael is sick and he will not be speaking today, but we have a good substitute for him today, a good friend of mine named David. Say hello, David.
Hello, David.
Good job.
How are things?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. It's a beautiful day in sunny San Diego. Meanwhile, the rest of the states are freezing their butts off.
Yeah, that's always nice. Yeah, it's a good perk. It's been cold the last few days, but today it got a little warmer though.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on here. I know it was kind of last minute. I texted you like last night, like, hey, what are you doing?
Best plans are last minute.
Yeah.
Just ask my parents. So I guess we'll move on with the weekly news, right?
Yeah, you know how this works, right?
I do.
Cool. So Dragon Ball FighterZ is coming out this week. It's coming out on Friday.
I didn't know that.
I have it pre-ordered, and I am super excited to play it. When I get it, I'm gonna have friends over, and it'll be a good time.
Would I be one of those?
Yeah, definitely. If you want, I mean,
it'd be futile. I'd like get Goku, and then you'd beat my ass with Yamcha or something. Just to make it even worse for me.
Yeah, probably.
Like, how do you punch? And you're just like, you're dead already. We're at the title screen. Why are you doing this?
So Nintendo Labo came out, or am I pronouncing that right?
People were saying Labo. Some say Lambo, just to be an ignorant. But yeah, I think it's Labo, I think is what they're going with.
All right. So you know more about that than I do. So.
I really like the idea. As a kid, I get their marketing. They're trying to go back to marketing to kids. They kind of realize that their market's not so much at adults. You know, they can release Super Smash Bros. Whenever they want and it's going to sell. Right. But I like the idea because as a kid, I was the one playing with cardboard. My entire childhood was, oh, you're gonna give me a box, I'm gonna make something out of it, and that's entirely what it is. It's like,
I remember my dad helped me make Buzz Lightyear wings out of cardboard.
Nice. For a Halloween costume?
No. It would sound less ridiculous if I said yes, but no, it wasn't.
There's some context there that I might need for why
am I dressing up as Buzz Lightyear around my house at 5 years old? But
I kind of like the idea though. The only thing I don't like is they released. Well, I didn't say they released. The release date is on April 20th.
Okay.
On 4/20.
I see.
Could have picked a day after or the day before. It's just it's basically like, well, they're going back to what they know, which is kids love interacting with the game that they're playing.
Right. It's cool. It's like giving them like an interactive cardboard cutout of something that they're playing with is like the concept is cool because I saw in the video they had the motorcycle thing. So it's like the cardboard cutout and then you have the motorcycle steering wheel. Yeah. And then there was the other one with like the backpack and the punching stuff, and it's like the game's
Titanfall 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Done better this time.
Yeah, or it looks like a toy box Gundam or something like that.
A lot of people are saying that. What is that one punching game?
Oh, Arms.
Arms. They're gonna say a lot of people were saying they could adapt Arms to that and let kids play that a little.
Oh yeah, give them
more reason to punch things.
No, give them cardboard punching gloves. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I don't get is they released the backpack one, the robot. That's the pack they're calling it, and then there's the other one that's more of like a utility. It's like you can kind of build a bunch of stuff at once with it. The only thing I don't get is why not just have people make their own? Like have a workshop where you can build what you want. And then they mail you the cardboard with all the graphics and whatever.
Oh.
And then you can use it. I get they have to program in movement stuff for the Switch.
Well, they can have customizable stuff within a certain limit that which matches up with the motion stuff or whatever, so that whatever they customize or whenever they make will work with what they have already, and that might be something that they're already working on. Or if not, Nintendo, you can give us a bunch of money for giving you that idea, because that's
sponsor us, please.
Oh yes, please. I wouldn't be against that at all.
But
freaking sellouts.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We'll be like, and now we're taking a 15-minute commercial break to bring you 30% less content, like every other YouTube channel out.
I had a chance, or I was talking to a guy who was starting this app that was like really cool. I'm not going to go too much into detail because then it will actually sound like I'm advertising.
Oh, okay.
But it was this app where you can rent out your items.
Kind of like a Airbnb, but with your stuff.
Kind of, yeah. So it's like, let's say you have a surfboard that you want to sell, or that you don't want to sell, but you're not using it. Mm-hmm. You can put it up on the app, and then you can rent it out for like $10 a day or something to someone who wants it. And I got like his business card, and like I followed him on Twitter and everything. And I was like, dude, like I wanted to go up to him and was like, hey, like I have a podcast. We can help each other out. But at the same time, like we only have like 42 downloads, so it's not like our influence is so widespread.
You could use his app and have people rent your podcast. No, I'm kidding. No. That might work. I like that idea. It's kind of like OfferUp, but you get to keep the stuff.
Yeah, like you get it returned. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you get some cash. You get some cash for it. So it was a cool idea. I'm surprised no one had thought of that. Okay, so stuff that we're into. Like what have you been entertaining yourself when it comes to the nerd stuff?
Well, I'm always into Dark Souls 3 and Forza Horizon. I'm always one that likes punishing myself.
That second one you said, that was a racing game, correct?
Yeah, Forza Horizon 3. It's like an open world racing game.
Okay.
It's Rockstar.
No,
not Rockstar. I'm sorry. I can't. I think it's Microsoft Studios, but
Studios.
And I'm always into games that make me regret playing them. That's why I don't know. I just like games.
You like punishing yourself?
That's what I miss about games is where even if it's like a kid's game, like Super Mario 64.
Right.
Kids can play it through and, I beat the game. But when you're an adult, it's somehow just as difficult, if not more so. Because you're like, now I have to get all the stars. You start getting that completionist thing going.
Before you just played it, just to play through it.
Yeah.
But then now it's like, no, there's a bunch of other stuff that I need to get.
Yeah.
So
I think with Forza, with Playground Games, they did a good job with it because the way that they manufactured the game, it's where, much like the first and second one, the first one was kind of like a rough start. It's still a really fun game. Forza Horizon itself is based in Colorado, and it's very open. You kind of get all the landscapes.
Okay, cool.
Flat, hilly, mountain. So you get to kind of experience all kinds of cars, from drag race
What's the one where you can drive across like the United States?
That's The Crew, I believe.
Okay.
Which is another really good game.
Right.
It's not as fleshed out, but I think it's equal, if not better, because you kind of see America, and they do throw in little landmarks, and
that's cool.
It's a little bit better.
You can see like the St. Louis Arch or something.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Well, yeah, it's like that. You can go and see Mount Rushmore, and then take 20 minutes, and you're in LA. Wow, the border's there. What's stupid though?
Proportions are not accurate. I can see, but
yeah. be a ridiculous game. That'd be an actual good idea. Have a realistic open source game where it only builds the environment and just uses like Google Maps, and you actually have to drive the roads.
Again, someone who wants to take that idea, please. Like
I'm gonna copyright and trademark that before the end of this, so we don't have that problem.
Good.
But what about you? I know you're into Assassin's Creed Unity right now.
Yes, I am. It's a fun game. Now, and you mentioned Playground, and that's very much kind of what Assassin's Creed Unity can be. It was the first game in Assassin's Creed when they going into the next gen, into PS4 and Xbox One, and it was the first time they were testing out like this new like free running system that I'm still kind of figuring out, and I'm still kind of like learning how it works, and I think it works one way, but then like I just found out yesterday that it works a completely different way, and it's like I've been doing it wrong, and that's why it's been giving me trouble. But but it's a fun game. Like I've been playing it online with a good friend of mine, Douglas, and him and I it's a fun game because it's like you can specialize in stealth or ranged or hell, or like with a bunch of health, be like a bruiser, or and it's really cool, and it's a lot of fun, and I recommend it to someone who enjoys like the open world, and it has a lot of really cool, like you see Notre Dame, and then there's a point in the game where you go into the future and you see like the Statue of Liberty being built.
What?
and it's still bronze. Yeah, and that's really cool. And then there's another point where you like go through time and you see the Eiffel Tower like during World War II when it's occupied by Germany, and it's like really really cool. So it's a really fun game, and I recommend it to anyone who enjoys the Assassin's Creed franchise. Now, moving into the main topic. So, you consider yourself a comic book movie fan.
Oh,
yes?
yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
If you had to pick a franchise, Marvel or DC, which one would you pick?
You're being divisive right now.
Well, that's kind of our main topic, so maybe starting out as prefacing, which
I'll pull a quote from the late great Martin Luther, and I will pick the side that is to my favor, and that will be my answer.
And what is the side to your favor?
Marvel, but I will leave that up to someone else to decide. I like DC on face value. The comics were the best part of DC in my opinion because there was no character playing the role. You could, Superman sounded however you thought Superman was going to sound, and his actions in the comics spoke for how he was. Right. And same could be said for Marvel. Marvel's a little bit more fleshed out, but I just feel like on a movie side, which is probably what we're going to, the DC movies seem so after the fact that they're catching up with what Marvel's already established,
or at least they're trying to they're playing
attempting to catch up.
Yeah,
they're not succeeding.
No,
they can't catch up at this point.
Yeah, and we're going to be focusing more on the film aspect. So you were correct on that. But I will say though, like growing up, like I remember being like a fan of Batman and dressing up as Batman for Halloween. And stuff like
WB
that.
when the Batman was on, the best Batman cartoon was on.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, like I was always like a really big fan of like Batman and Superman, and then like I was also a fan of Spider-Man and stuff like that. But my fandom to Marvel didn't go very deep because I didn't know a whole lot about them. But then, not until 2008 where Iron Man came out. I mean to be fair, no one knew who Iron Man was before that movie came out. And then Marvel put him on the map basically, and
everyone heard the AC/DC song, and that was it.
Yeah,
that's all they heard.
Yeah, So what we will be doing. We've researched all the numbers, and we've number crunched everything, and we've looked at the differences between the Marvel and the DC like cinematic universes respectively, and we've looked at at every aspect when it comes to like release date, length, budget, gross income, and then
like the logistics mostly.
Yeah, and then and we're gonna and I know a lot of people don't really like or think that Rotten Tomatoes is a really valuable source, but it's like the one where you can immediately it's more.
I don't know, they kept me away from the Emoji Movie, so I think they're worth.
They seem all right.
Yeah,
but we're gonna be comparing all of these, and then we're gonna be kind of discussing what each company is doing well, how each company is like doing well, or like what they're not doing so well, and like what all that stuff. So I'm not gonna go over everything on the list, but we have some notes that we can refer to, and like things that we can
tear apart Marvel and DC for what they really are.
Yeah, tear off the mask, if you will.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think that I'm kind of touching on what you said earlier. DC, I feel like, especially with this year or this last year in 2017, with all the movies that came out, it seemed like they were playing catch up, like big time. With Wonder Woman, that was a success. I feel like that was.
I think that's like an Iron Man syndrome. When Iron Man came out, no one really knew much about Iron Man, and that vague factor played a huge part in the success of that movie. So you could build the character, and I think that's why Wonder Woman worked out so well. Everyone just saw Wonder Woman as just, she's got the invisible plane and the lasso,
which did not make an appearance in this movie.
I know, I was upset, but
really,
I was very upset. You know how awesome it would have been, all the jokes and puns that could have been made. But I don't know. I think that in that sense, that's what they touched on a little bit, was the obscurity of Wonder Woman and how little people know about her. Because I know that they threw in Wonder Woman back in the day. They just threw her into the Justice League because they needed a strong female figure, because during those times, that's something that civil rights demanded. They kind of wanted someone else besides the strong male dominant, character.
Yeah.
Even though they're a little bit better, but they
careful. Careful. My girlfriend listens to this.
Listen, I'm just saying, people don't wear Wonder Woman pajamas. It's Batman.
My aunt does.
Superman.
Watch your mouth.
Okay, well, most people don't wear Wonder Woman pajamas.
Okay.
I think that
I do get what you mean, though. It's like in a comic book fandom that is mostly dominated by males. Like,
it's catching up, though. There's been a few statistics where it's 90-10. It's getting there. But it is, with the action and stuff that goes on, it's very masculine style for both Marvel and DC. It's very masculine.
Because I feel like it's easy for a male to identify or to identify with Batman, not necessarily like on the same plane or whatever, but like identify as kind of like I could be that kind of thing. But
identify with it.
Yeah, they look at Wonder Woman. It's like, well, that's a woman. I can't really identify with that. So, not saying that women superheroes aren't a good thing, but that's probably why they're not as probably just because the demographic isn't like.
Well, not now. Wonder Woman was like, to my opinion, that was better than a couple of the Marvel movies, just in the structure of the movie.
Yeah.
I'd watch Wonder Woman if you had, Iron Man 2 and Wonder Woman in your hands. I'd say, let's watch Wonder Woman again.
Oh, yeah.
Might just because it's new, but and it's the only Iron Man movie I own, so it would be the other reason. I've watched it too much.
I own 2.
Oh.
So we can watch 2 if you want. But yeah, because Wonder Woman, it only cost about $130 million to make.
Oh,
but it made like close to 182 million.
I remember they said it was like close to 900,000 or 900 million rather.
900 million
box office gross is what I remember. But
okay.
I think it's, and you can kind of see we have a little cheat sheet in front of us, chart here that kind of shows, and a lot of the movies, at least on the DC side, their Rotten Tomatoes scores are very, very spread.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking. Yeah, I was gonna say the fans usually rate it a little bit higher because, for let's say Green Lantern, which came out in 2011, which was the Stinkfest, which Ryan Reynolds kind of pokes fun at Deadpool, which is why I love that movie so much.
Oh, Deadpool 2 is coming out, man!
I know. I'm so ready.
Oh.
Have you seen his John Ross trailer?
No.
It's okay.
Oh wait, yeah, I have. Where he dressed up like Bob Ross.
Yeah, it's Bob Ross. There you go.
Bob Ross.
Yeah, and it's like, and get a little bit of that Betty White, and we just whack it off.
He's been waiting for that role for so many years.
He was made for that role.
Oh.
It was yeah.
Even in interviews, it's like I'm watching Deadpool at an interview right now. He's gonna pull this up somehow. You know? It's so good.
Yeah, so with Green Lantern, a lot of the critics gave it like a 26%. It was not a very good. It was not really well received. I'm seeing a lot of really low scores like 26, 55, 27, 26. And then 40, with Wonder Woman being the only 92%.
Yeah,
92%, and with a audience rating of 88.
Man,
that's also the highest audience rating.
That's true.
Because all the other ones are like 45, 75, 63, 60, and 77.
Yeah.
So clearly, I think, and what's crazy about it is that Wonder Woman, out of all these, was the cheapest to make.
Yeah. I think they finally realized that you can't make a good movie by throwing a lot of money at it.
Well, that's not really true because then you see Justice League. They threw $300 million at it, and they
made their money back.
Yeah, barely.
But
it didn't start out that way. It looked like they were going to lose a lot of money on that.
That is true. But that being said, it shows also on the score. It's Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 40, but people thought pretty good of it, 77%. So
yeah,
it's not a critic movie, but I think that for the fans that they know the characters and they want to find out, and even so, it's kind of appalling how it's one of the shortest movies of the DC franchise. The only one being shorter is Green Lantern, and they had one of the biggest budgets for it.
Yeah,
and they still seemed to
just barely break even.
Yeah, not completely pull it together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like a lot of it was just the scatteredness of it. And if you look at the Marvel side of it, they had some build-up. They put a lot of spacing in between
Oh yeah.
these. Like Iron Man, I remember watching Iron Man and being like, this is a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
This is, pretty solid.
Yeah,
I'll watch this a
and the
couple
critics
times.
gave that one like a 94%.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, it was deserved. They put a lot into that movie, and
And they didn't spend a lot of. See, what's crazy about it is that, like, a trend that I'm seeing is DC is throwing a lot of money into it. They're throwing a lot of money into it rather than trying to get quality out of it.
yeah,
And then that's not adding up, because then you see with the Marvel side, they only have two that go in the 250 range
in their budget.
their budget, and that's Avengers 2 and Civil War.
Yeah.
And then those two made like 1.86 billion and 1.26
And most
billion.
of that face value is probably just from the actors that they have to pay to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So,
And
and then you look down at the critics ratings for all of them, you see 94, 92, 95, 80, 83, 91, and 92. Not one of them dipping into the 70 range.
yeah.
So what I'm seeing is that Marvel is doing a much better job of getting quality from like the money that they're spending, where DC is just throwing a bunch of money at it and hoping everyone loves it.
They're playing a catch-up game. You look at when they were released. I mean, Iron Man in 2008. The next recent one to that would be 2012, which was Avengers. And yeah.
There were more movies between that. We just didn't cover those, but we covered some of like the more bigger ones. But yeah, but like between Iron Man and the Avengers, you have Iron Man 2, then you have the Hulk, then you have the first Thor.
Right.
So it's like
Captain America.
and then Captain America, all the ones in between, and they have a lot of those character building, which you see the jump between 2008 and 2012. All those happened between that time, in that span of 4 years. Whereas DC, you have the 2011 with Green Lantern, and then you see 2 years you get Man of Steel, and then the very next year you get Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, which that was the longest movie they had, and that one was not great.
No.
They spent a lot of money and didn't get a whole lot of money back.
It was not great. That's probably the better way of saying how good it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm trying to be nice.
I'd ask for my money back from that movie. It's terrible.
I can't go too deep, because then that's going to become a whole review, and then we're going to be here for an hour.
Yeah.
And then Suicide Squad came out the same year.
See, I was surprised with Suicide Squad.
Really?
I feel
how were you surprised? Pleasantly or
both. I wanted good for that movie. I felt they were going a direction with that different from the cut and paste DC. Here's Batman. Here's his typical redone storyline with a new actor. Here's Superman. They were doing something different. You can't tell me there was another movie like it in DC's past. I liked the face value of it when I first saw the trailers. I was like, okay, cool. They have a decent
I
cast.
kind of felt the same way. I felt iffy about Jared Leto as the Joker. I didn't really care for that, and then when I saw it, I really didn't care for it. But
he could have done worse. To be fair,
Margot Robbie was good, and Will Smith was Will Smith. He's a national treasure.
He was playing his I Am Legend character for the entire movie. I'm sorry. To me, just Will Smith can make or break a movie, and luckily he may have played a part in breaking this movie just on the cost of it. I mean, just look at the cost.
Because he was probably a bigger half of that 300 million.
I mean, I thought it was like 100. I don't know. They didn't do.
Oh no, sorry,
justice.
175 million. Sorry, I was looking at.
Yeah, I was like 300 million.
I was looking at the wrong number.
They
sorry,
would pay way too much for that. But you can see it's the worst rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes for them.
A second to Green Lantern. They're tied.
It tied at 26, and
yeah.
But you see, some people liked it. It was at 60% for what people thought of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just mixed from people who kind of understood the characters.
That was just all the girls who dressed up as Harley Quinn for Halloween, and they saw it and they loved it because they saw themselves on the TV.
All the alternate chicks finally get to come out of the woodwork for a movie.
Oh gosh!
Finally, but I felt good about the movie in that sense, where it was breaking away from the normal superhero movie, where here's your superhero, here's his backstory, here's his climb to trying to be a main opposing villain.
Here's his
love interest.
Here's his love interest. Here's his little fall from grace.
Yeah,
and he has to redeem himself.
Here's
and then happy
character
ending.
Building sections.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
and then
the montage where he's working out again and getting back into shape, and then
cameos in there a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, Will Smith just comes in, waves at the camera, and leaves.
Yep, pretty much.
So it was. I think what's happening is that DC is kind of in panic mode. and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
kind of just throwing money at it. They're throwing money at the problem and hoping that fixes it.
Yeah.
Which is very unfortunate because it just like it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
And I think if they spent more time getting more quality out of the money that they're spending, so it's like maybe spend a little less money and then try to actually let your writers just get better writers. I feel like they could benefit so much if they have writers that can make concrete, congruent stories.
They have played musical chairs with their writers a lot, and I think that's in part that they don't know who to pick. In a lot of the Avengers movies, you kind of see, the same tie-ins, and to be fair, they use a lot of the same staff for Avengers 2 that they did for Avengers 1.
Yeah.
Which is rightful because...
well, they had different... for Avengers 2, they had the Russo brothers, I think, were the...
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was Joss Whedon for Avengers 2? Okay. For those of you who don't know, we have Nathanael off to the side. He's not talking right now because he's sick and kind of lost his voice. So he's informing me on stuff and like giving me like hand gestures, like no, that's not right. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. And he's like writing stuff on his phone and like showing me.
He has the big foam fingers, but it's just the middle finger for most of it. And it's pointing at me. I don't know why.
Because you're taking his place for today, and he's really bitter about it.
I mean, I got the cameo power, so I can't be hurt. This is good.
But yeah, so Joss Whedon, I was gonna say they had a good job with having
congruent writing is prevalent in those movies, and they kind of they flex that in a lot of how they write the movies, where you kind of see it, especially in some of these.
And continuity is a really big thing that they
pay attention to. Which
the
is
little details. So then,
Superman's mustache. We'll not touch that a little bit, but
I mean, it's ironic you say we're not going to touch it because it feels like that could have used more touching up.
Oh yeah. I mean, I kind of want to see a bearded Superman, to be fair.
Yeah, no, like I wanted to see like the black suit Superman with like the beard and the long hair. That's what I wanted to see, but we didn't see it. We just got him without a shirt, which we've already seen, and it's just boring.
I mean, to us. us. You just said not long ago, there's another audience out there, Evan.
That's true. No, that's very true.
That's true. But I think that, yes, the writing, but more of just get your story straight. They don't have any, besides the Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and, Batman movie that is,
set to come out.
And Wonder Woman.
Is that set to come out this year or next year?
I believe end of this year.
Oh, Lord. All right.
I know. Something else not to look forward to. But
something else to waste your money to see.
I mean, and that could be said for both sides. I'm not gonna.
I mean, if this ship is still sailing by the time that comes around, we'll be like contractually obligated to go see it. But whatever.
You could just read the Spark Notes on it, like everyone did in high school. Just be like, what's Death of the Salesman's about? Oh, well, I mean, a guy died. It's on the front of the book.
Robin Williams is in it. Oh, Captain, my Cap. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Death of a Salesman.
Death of a Salesman.
I'm thinking of Dead Poet Society.
What? That's a good movie too.
It is.
Anyway,
Captain, my Captain.
We're getting off.
Yes, we are.
But what I think a good example. Let's just pit the most recent movies against each other.
So So Justice League and
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Let's just pit those. Now, Thor Ragnarok had no cameo power in it at all.
No,
except for a couple characters.
It really went on. It really did its job with the characters that they already had established. They didn't try to introduce any new characters or bring any characters way out of left field.
Yeah.
They worked with what they had, which was Thor, the Hulk, and Loki. Those are like the three main characters that we already knew and that we were established, and we didn't need like any more.
Well, they also had Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is in it, and he was already established. That's true.
Yep.
And then
of course Odin,
and then you have the introduction of Hela, which is the sister, and then that's the spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah. And then Goldblum, which is Goldblum. Cast as Goldblum.
I know. Basically, it's just Goldblum with makeup. That's his character.
Basically.
And then so it's like the characters that were already set up
worked
because we knew who they were, and
it was a typical Marvel movie. It's you get something familiar at the beginning. You get a setup for the story of the movie. You get new characters speckled in between to kind of help you along.
That kind of lets you know, like, these characters will be here, so remember them.
Exactly. And then you kind of get the big payoff, which is, we won't spoil the movie, but you get the big payoff which everybody is expecting towards the end of the movie.
Right.
And then twists and turns along the way.
Yes.
But in that movie, it worked because you didn't throw a bunch of stuff in the viewer's face. You were settling them into the environment. It wasn't, here's this is happening, and now this is happening, and then we're cutting to this.
Yeah.
You kind of followed.
I feel like with the DC movies, they have a hard time deciding what they want to be.
Yes.
That was my biggest issue with Batman versus Superman, or Dawn of Justice. That was my biggest issue with that one, is that it didn't know if it wanted to be a Batman movie. It didn't know if it wanted to be a Superman movie. For a second, it was a Justice League movie. Then it was a Batman versus Superman movie. And it was like, it didn't know what it wanted to be. And
it wanted to be money, is what it wanted to be.
It wanted to be money, but it bricked really hard.
It did.
And with Justice League, I feel like it was kind of the same way. Sorry, I had to burp. If you watch Justice League, or if you know anything about like what happened behind the scenes, they switched directors halfway through. Zack Snyder had to step away because of some family issues.
The best way I would put it...
Joss Whedon came in at the end and finished it.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is when you watch it, have you seen it? Justice League?
I did not want to pay my money to see it. I'll be completely honest.
Well, what I will say, without spoiling too much of it, is that when you're watching it, you can tell which scenes are being directed by Joss Whedon and which scenes are being directed by Snyder.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You can tell the difference.
Yeah.
You can watch them and be like, oh, that was a Snyder scene, or oh, that was a Whedon scene. You can totally tell. And I think if they handled it correctly, that would have worked, but they didn't handle it correctly, and it didn't work out very well.
Yeah.
And it seemed very disjointed. And
it's like when you're in grade school and you're told to do a project like a mobile, and you can tell what parts you did and what parts your parents did. That's exactly what I think of it as. Like, it's very trade hands.
They're relying a lot on the money to do the work instead of them doing the work themselves. And this isn't us trying to take anything away from the actors, because that's a lot. That's hard work.
Oh yeah.
And from the directors and the writers, that's all really hard work. We're not trying to take anything away from them.
No.
But I feel like they're focusing so much on they're doing too much for so little. I feel like they need to
slow down.
Slow down and just and let the characters build themselves, because it's like these are solid characters that you could build a solid franchise around, but you have to let it come naturally. You can't cram it down our throats and expect us all to love it. It just doesn't work that way. And I think ultimately what happens is I feel like the word catch up the phrase catch up has just come up a lot, because that's just, I feel like that's what they're doing. They're in panic mode right now, and they realize the last few years they haven't been making as much money as Marvel, and that's their biggest competitor, and they need to have like that next big splash. And with Wonder Woman and Justice League, those two movies came out last year, and they both, I was gonna say, Wonder Woman, that was like their first like big win. And I said this a lot going like leading up to Justice League. I really wanted Justice League to be good. I really, really wanted it to be good. But when it wasn't, I also wasn't surprised. I was very kind of like, I called it.
It's one of those where they put a lot of money into it, but didn't put enough actual value into the movie, and you can kind of see that where they only have 120 minutes of airtime, and they spent $300 million on it. But you can really see on that on that other side where people the fans liked it. It got 77% on fans.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fan service. It was an entertaining movie. I'm not saying it wasn't.
It was a movie for people and not for critics, and that's probably why it got 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the problem I had with it was you're throwing a lot of money in something that's not getting your buck value out of it. It's the same length of movie almost as Suicide Squad, and a little bit longer than Green Lantern. And that being said, both of them were shorter, and it seemed like you kind of got more story out of both of those. Justice League, they were jumping around a lot. I get that they had to introduce a few characters.
I know, and that's the issue with not building this universe and just throwing 3 new characters at us.
They're putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
and it's
basically
the wrong step for them. But
and it's frustrating because like Aquaman looked interesting in this movie. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about him.
Yeah.
But we got like no answers for who his character is or where he came from or his origin. I know his movie's coming out this year, and that we'll get.
Should be coming out before Justice League and do Justice League right.
Yeah. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think that played into why that specific movie wasn't very successful. Now, so flipping over to the other side with Marvel, they're not perfect either. They've had some stinkers too.
Yes,
like Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 weren't well received.
Yeah.
I think on
Iron Man 2.
I think on their Rotten Tomatoes they got something along the lines of like 60 or 70% or something like that for what the critics said, and then with audience it was probably around like 77 or something like that, respectively. But still, overall, like Marvel's had more wins than losses.
Oh yeah,
they have a better winning record.
They've put more standalone movies out for us to enjoy before they build that universe.
Yeah, before they have the team up movie.
That's how they should have done it on the DC side. And a lot of that is just timing. You see how, Marvel set everything up with Iron Man, and then some of the beginning movies with Civil War.
What's bad is I think that what's his face who directed the Christian Bale Batmans? Christopher Nolan. There you go.
I think so.
Christopher Nolan. I think those movies were supposed to build into a universe, but then Christian Bale didn't want to stick around anymore, and then they had
rightly so.
Yeah. after Dark Knight Rises, that one.
It's when you buy a boat and then you go into the bottom of it and you see all the holes. It's just like, oh, well.
Yeah. So I think ultimately, though, like, I'm not saying that DC is a bad company or that they'll never,
To be fair, Wonder Woman was great.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was a step in the right direction.
And they need to continue in that direction.
Yeah.
I think continuing in that direction would help them a lot, and I think that they need to focus more on building story and like letting the established characters do the work for them instead of trying to cram a bunch of money into a dead horse, lighting it on fire, and then throwing it over a cliff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's really what it feels like they're doing. They really need to slow down. I mean, this is the long-term game now. You really can't, because the thing is though, Marvel's coming at the end of their phase 3 with Infinity War. They're coming at the end of their phase 3, so they're going to be in like a rebooting phase. DC, this is a really great time for you guys. You guys can really, maybe not around May, maybe wait till Infinity War passes, and then maybe try to start developing like actual like world building stories.
Yeah.
Like come out with a Flash movie. Come out with hopefully your Aquaman movie is good. Cyborg movies come out in 2020, I think, which I think is too long to wait for. And then I think they're having another Justice League movie before that.
I think they're just spacing it so they can throw more money at what they think will work, which to me is a mistake.
Yeah.
They need to just take a page out of Marvel's book. Just do small standalone movies. I mean, look at Wonder Woman. They only spent $129 million on it, and it got more than that in a return.
Yeah.
And same could be said for Spider-Man: Homecoming. They only paid $175 million in budget, and they got $1.25 billion back.
That's U.S. and
that did better than Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, and DC's just got to step back.
Yeah.
Think about what their goal is and just do it, and not they just came out with a movie. We need to throw some writers and plot together.
Yeah. So I think what we can come to a conclusion is less is more.
Yes.
And then DC needs to stop throwing so much money at it, because sooner or later they're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Because Disney just got 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a Spider-Man Deadpool movie soon. You already know that's going to happen.
And it's going to be good.
So you guys better get your act together before that movie comes out, because that's going to steal all of your money.
Oh.
So with that being said, David, it was great having you on. Thank you so much for being here and just talking. Nerd logistics with us.
Didn't realize the venue for your studio here is quite fantastic.
Oh yes,
plasma screens everywhere. You got like a jukebox in the back. Is that even like? Do they even make those anymore?
No, we had that specially ordered. I was gonna say there's a cooler. There's a cooler right under your chair as well.
What the? What do you have? Dos Equis? Oh my god.
So Nathanael will be back next week, and hopefully he will be at 100%.
Make a noise for us. Come on.
I don't even know if that picked up, but
he'll make it.
You'll make it.
Yeah.
You'll make it, Tom. I promise. But thank you again so much for listening, and join us again next week. And see you later. Bye-bye.
investigate 9/11 again.
Yeah, I think we should.
I mean,
I think Bush knew what was coming, but he did nothing.
I don't think he knew it was coming. I think he did it on accident. He was just like, let's reroute these planes through New York. It's way easier.
It's like, we'll go at night. They won't see us coming.
Yeah, this plane's going to San Antonio. No, we're going to make them go up to New York. Everyone wants to see New York. That's our shining, see the Statue of Liberty.